Hello, everyone. Doing our little check to see where we're live. Let us see. Oh, I have to go to my Facebook page, my profile. All right. We're almost there. Almost. We'll make this one public so that everybody can see. And then we will go over here and make sure this one is live. Yes, that one is too. And oh, it looks like my threads are working. If you are there, come on and pop on and say hello while we gather some steam here. Let's just check the YouTube one. Never hurts to check, especially with all the weirdness that is going on these days, for sure. And it is pretty weird right now. So, hey, hi, Angela. Welcome. Good to see you here. Good morning. Wonderful. Hi, Tammy. Oh, I'm on your big TV. Here, we're just going to pull all this up while I'm on your big TV so that it looks. But thank you. Thank you for being here on your big TV. Hi, Mom. Mom's here. We're going to talk about Mom in a little bit. We had a little play date with one of Mom's friends yesterday, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. Thank you so much, Richard, for the sound and picture check. I actually have new lighting because a certain kitten took out my lamp. So it's that lamp, she knocked it completely over. I thought it was broken. The shade was shattered. And so and then I ended up buying the other lamp which I really love. So yeah, we have a little bit of new lighting. So I appreciate that. And everybody just getting to know you, play nice and introduce yourselves. So welcome. I have a whole new setup today. So hopefully everything will go uh, as planned, because today we have what I think is super interesting, because sometimes I have these days where I don't think that I have anything to say, which is crazy, because there's always something to say. Like, there's always something to say. There's always something going on energetically. There's always something to talk about. And yeah, and so thank you all for being here, because I go through those days too. Like, we're all kind of in the same boat every now and then. So yeah, good morning, good afternoon. Hey, if you are on my Facebook page or profile, pop on and say hello, so I make sure that the stream I actually have to check that. We're just making sure that everything is working before we. Oh my gosh, and my little kitten is making noise behind me, so she wants to join in, which makes sense. So I'm just going to do a little check on this live here and say hello to myself. Oop, knocking everything. I so appreciate you hanging out while I do all these little checks. Yes, everything seems to be working just fine. So always just like to check and make sure. So wow, welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Happy end of your week or beginning of your weekend, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to TGIF, for the Curious, Enlightened, the our end of the week wrap up. So for those of you, if anybody's watching here on YouTube or anywhere else around town, I'm your host, Debbie Tatel from Spirit Light Insight. I'm a clairvoyant. I teach clairvoyant development classes. I do readings, and a whole bunch of other things like this. I try to help you with your transformation. So for today, for tonight, wherever you are, if you are an empath or sensitive to energy, if you're curious about energy, or what I call a curious clairvoyant, or you're fully enlightened, you're going to want to watch this one, because this one, there is something for everyone. And we might even talk about, well, there's no might about it. We're going to absolutely talk about how to protect your energetic space without isolating yourself or creating boundaries. So, how's everybody doing? Is everybody doing good? Hopefully, let me know what's been going on in your world in the chat. And as you know, if you've been here before, there's a little bit of a delay. Even a few seconds seems like too long. But if you want the best viewing experience, jump on over to YouTube for viewing and commenting and joining the conversation. If you're on Facebook, I actually have the links pinned in the invitation, so you can actually see it. But it's live all around town. So welcome to everybody. Welcome to everybody. Yeah, welcome everybody. So just let me know what's been going on in your world. I know my world, like I said, the kitten knocked over the lamp, and I had to make a trip over to the lamp repair store. Many appointments, eyes and teeth. Oh man, yeah. Wait, I want to show this. Richard's got. Tammy says hot, hot, hot. Actually, nap time. Laying here with the group. The group meaning the fur babies and all of that. Is that what we're talking about? And Richard, many appointments this week. Eyes, teeth, the fun of getting old. I absolutely relate 1,000% there with that. But there's these things that we have to do. Oh, you're hanging with us guys. Got it. Yes, hanging here, laying here with the group. Got it. Sometimes it takes me even a second, because we had we had a lot going on this week. So did you all see that Tony Bennett transitioned? 96 years old. This is part of our weekly wrap up. How can we not pay homage to Tony Bennett? Like, he, the crooner of crooners. It's really, I mean, he was singing right up until the end. And I got to thinking, when I saw the news about everything online, and then my mom brought it up and all of that, what amazing company on the other side. It's I mean, I can't even imagine, but God bless him. And he was half over there anyway, with the Alzheimer's and everything. That's part of what I see happens with Alzheimer's, is like a foot in two different places. I mean, I'm still kind of looking at that, but I just see it as an opening up of spirit. So rest in peace to Tony's family and friends and everybody. We feel you, but what a beautiful life, 96 years. And thank you. Hi, Ward. Welcome. Nice to see you here. Thank you for coming. Um, Powerball. Who bought Powerball? I don't know if Angela has Powerball on the other side of the world. Matt! Oh my God, welcome. Oh, everybody's kind of coming on now. Yay, I'm loving seeing this. So, yeah, this week we had this crazy $1 billion Powerball. Even I broke down and bought tickets. So, if you're here in the US, did anybody buy tickets here in the US besides me? I just went crazy. I played my birthday and age and the cat's birthdays, and we did not win. We did not win, or I would be inviting you all on some epic vacation somewhere. But if you're in oh, you have a similar, so in New Zealand, there's a similar lottery called My Lotto. Good to know that all around the world, they somehow, you know, we all match that lottery. We love to gamble. Like, I think we just love to gamble wherever. Oh, Tammy, your husband buys a lot. I don't usually do it, but now that you can do it on your phone, now that there's an app on your phone, I sometimes, when it gets to be $1 billion, I start to think of all the things that I could do with $1 billion, other than pay most of it to the IRS. Or a whole lot of it, but that's still a whole lot left over. So if you bought it or you know about this, if you ever just, when the numbers get really high, you start to dream. Like, I start to think about all the things I could do. I would take my whole family, on some epic vacation around the world. I would probably contact Matt just to find out where I should be going with them for sure. But did you give yourself a moment to dream? Because sometimes, you know what, we need that little break. And what did you dream about? Because it's amazing to see, like, people can't even picture what $1 billion is, really. Like, do we even know what that number really means and looks like, because it's usually so far out of our reach. But I hope that you did some kind of dreaming, because that was the energy of the week. Was this, everybody was talking about this $1 billion, and people were buying tickets in various states and things like that. But what I wanted to point out, and this is, to me at least, it's interesting, is the ticket was purchased at this little tiny store just outside of Skid Row. And I saw, one of my friends on Facebook posted it, that, what $1 billion could do if kind of given back to the community in Skid Row. And I thought about it, and boy, that's really something. Like, can you imagine if just one of the folks living outside went and bought a ticket? Like, it not only changes their life, but everyone else's. Like, it really can happen. But really, what I thought was interesting about it is life's little dichotomies, right? You've got this winning $1 billion ticket. I think it's the highest in Powerball history here, being purchased just outside of Skid Row. So it really shines a spotlight on the disparage, the divide, like, in the world, you know. Yeah, I think we all learned that, but it's okay to have it, because then you can do more with it, is if you're of that mindset. So I'm going to say that. But yeah, I money can be overrated. It's really true. Like, you can't buy love. You can't buy. There's a lot of stuff you can't buy, but it's just interesting to see life's dichotomies and the spotlight on, maybe a place that doesn't have a lot, like, it doesn't have a lot of money, and then other places, and you can still show that there's like $1 billion that can be spread out amongst them. So I thought that was kind of an interesting, um, piece. Also, let's see, on the 17th, what day was that? That was a Monday, right? Yeah, Monday. The 17th, the new moon was in Cancer, which I have been, I look up stuff. Your love just restarted. Uh-oh. I don't know what that means. My live just restarted? No, it was not on purpose, and I did not get a thing saying that it was out. And well, anyway, it's back on now. So no, it was not on purpose. So if it glitched, thank you for letting me know, because I will I will let them know. Yes, Ward, I am still here. I am in the middle of our weekly wrap up. You can't figure it out. Can you help me? What can so guides are not the ones. Okay, I had a question from Ward on my page, and I want to address this because this is really interesting because he's trying to, he writes poetry, which is amazing, and he's trying to figure out what genre his poems are. He can't figure it out, and he said, can you help me? What do the guides say? The guides are not the ones who tell you what genre your poetry is. You can, that is really up to you and what you want to write. And I don't know what you write about, but the guides, you have the power to ask your guides. And when we do the meditation at the end, once you start to focus and do all those things, then you can start asking your guides these questions. You don't actually need a psychic for something like that. In fact, what I would say is you just turn your attention within and listen to your heart and see how you want to write and what you want to write. And I think that is the best way to go about that. So can I tell you, what your guides are? Probably not in this format here where we are here, but it's not even about the guides. It's about following your heart and your passion and what you want to write. Welcome, Marianne. Nice to see you here again. Thank you for your support. So in our wrap up, the new moon was on the 17th. And this might be good for you to know, Ward. The new moon was in Cancer, and all the sign across all zodiac signs, there are old doors closing and new ones opening. And so that all kind of got into play on Monday. So what changes and shifts did you notice? Did you notice any doors closing? Did you notice any new doors opening for you? This is all about awareness and just beginning to notice, turning our attention within to see what is shifting and changing within us. It's not the moon per se or the astrology, but that we are prompted with all of these things. And I just found it interesting that it wasn't just like one zodiac sign that was being affected. It was actually it's across all of them. So what kind of changes did you see this week? Anything interesting? I noticed the beginning of the week I was pretty emotional, and then the last couple days it's been way better. So I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting that there are things going on in the world, and there are things going on in the ethers on the other side, and there's things that are just happening all around. Another aspect right now is that starting tomorrow, Venus is in retrograde. The planet Venus is in retrograde, which means it appears to be going backwards. Um, and retrograde periods are the time for reflect, release, replenish, revitalize. It's all about the RE, right? Um, and this is different than a Mercury retrograde. This is Venus in retrograde in Leo. Depending on where you are, it's 22nd or the 23rd, and it runs through September 3rd and 4th, depending on where you are in the world. So Venus in retrograde affects our various relationships. Venus is the planet of love and money and spirit, yeah, and values. So what we're going to be, and I add perspectives because this one apparently is some kind of master number, and so all of our perspectives will change during this time of this Venus in retrograde. So retrogrades always give us pause to reflect and change and transform. Right. So you might see various relationships maybe coming and going, and that doesn't mean love relationships or your husband's or girlfriend's going to leave you. That's not what any of that means. It just means that our relationships and our perspectives and how we look at things will be different, but you'll also be revisiting those things, your relationship with money, your relationship with spirit, which of course then means your relationship with yourself. So between July, I almost said January, oh my God, July 22nd and September 3rd ish, whatever days those are for you, give yourself time for reflection and to pause and just kind of review. And you might even be thinking about old relationships or uh, dreaming about a new one and things like that. So it's funny because I think, we were talking about money and the Powerball and everything. So isn't it interesting that we're as retrogrades go, and okay, so I'm not an astrologer, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that probably similarly to Mercury retrograde, we were in some sort of shadow period this week as we're about to go into that retrograde space. So it's already affecting things. So kind of interesting, huh? So what have you been noticing? You're all not chatting. Are you all just listening intently, which I love? Thank you all for being here. That's all great. Um, Also, so last week, I don't know if you were here last week, you know that I was talking about karma and dharma and all of that. And I will get to that one second, Richard. And boy, after I offered that meditation, that clearing karma meditation, which by the way, I'm editing, I'm going to put it up as a separate meditation in the videos. And that way you can check that out down the road and without listening to the whole live. But boy, did I go down the rabbit hole of karma last week or this in the past few days after doing that last week. So I found by accident, nothing's by accident, there was a show on Netflix called Unknown, The Lost Pyramid, which is a 2023 documentary. So it's recent documentary on Netflix that tells the story about an excavation in Egypt for a buried, like a lost pyramid, and it follows these two archaeologists who are Egyptian archaeologists who like have this very clear idea of sort of where things are and what they're going to find. And I don't know about you, but I am always been fascinated. I have had many past lives in Egypt and in various locations in the Middle East. I know I was in Italy. I know I'm very connected with past lives in Jerusalem and during the time of Jesus and things like that. But Egypt, I have this particular just excitement that it's like there, it's in front of our eyes. So anyway, I find this lost pyramid, which is I guess there's 4 of the documentaries. I haven't looked at the other, but they all have this unknown name. And apparently I am a history nerd. So I'm watching this thing as they are uncovering the most unbelievable artifacts. Yes. So they were uncovering all these artifacts, like, and bringing them up. They found like tombs that were unlooted. Well, as I'm watching them bring up these things that might have been on a movie set, but they were real. In some one set of these tombs, it was over 4,300 years old before Christ. Like that's unbelievable. And the other one was like 2,600 years. And then they found, I don't want to give away too much, but they found a very interesting papyrus, and all I can tell you is that I cried from start to finish. I felt like they were finding my life. And I can't even explain it. So, yeah, Angela says Egypt is a place she'd love to visit. I lived in Israel for 9 months. I lived on a kibbutz, and they had just closed the borders to Egypt, so I couldn't go there. I couldn't visit at the time, which is a shame because, of course, now I want to go. I want to go back. So let's see. Yeah, Richard's in a 4 years, so you're clearing space and getting things in order to go to Egypt or somewhere. No, I'm just kidding. That's amazing. Feel a pull to go to Greece. Go. Greece is amazing. I've been there. I That's another place that I had a very deep connection with. I went to the original Olympic stadium and found like pottery. Like every time it rains, you can actually find stuff. It's You can't take it out, but you can find this stuff. But Greece is amazing. And actually, if you do want to go to Greece, my cousin actually does tours. So get in touch with me. But it's amazing. Um, Angela, you want to travel to the Middle East? Do it. It's amazing. It's amazing place. And living there, for the 9 months that I did, and this goes back a lot of years. Like this goes back to 1978 and 79. So it was a lot of years ago. But oh my gosh, what is many pyramids? Some from the ocean, some from pyramids rising. Well, yeah, and they're gonna find them. Yeah, I think Atlantis too. Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. Pyramids and ley lines are connected. While I am not a ley line specialist in any way, I do know people who are very awesome in that. So, you know what? Maybe I'll ask them to come on and we can talk about that. Let me make a note, a quick note on a napkin because I moved all my note taking things. But ley lines, and pyramids. Well, stay tuned for that show. We're going to absolutely do that. So, yes. And I do know that. I just don't know all about it. So, Richard says, fascinated by ancient Egypt. Yeah, Niagara Falls Museum. Ramses the First. Oh, nice. Nice. That goes back, doesn't it? That really goes back. Yeah, Egypt is a fascinating place. It's got unbelievable history. You could see power plays. There's so much that goes on there. And I just thought it was, I mean, I've had various flashes. Like when I lived in Israel, I knew every step of the way in the old city of Jerusalem. I knew my way around, and it's actually a maze, right? Not just amazing, it's actually like a maze inside, and I knew my way around. And it's really something when you start to visit these places that you haven't, and that was before any of my like clairvoyant training or anything. I knew that I had been there, and I knew I experienced things. um Billy Carter, very interested. YouTube, he goes and visits places, also very educated. Yeah, I mean, places are amazing. And when we connect at that space, I mean, I have to say, I've never had the experience of crying my way through a documentary. Like I was a bit shocked, but with every artifact that was brought, and in fact, it started when they opened this one tomb. I mean, I'd gotten weepy and all choked up, but they opened this one tomb of this woman who was she was actually a preserved mummy. And they're very, um, I don't want to use the word pious, but they're very respectful when they open these tombs. And as they were opening her tomb, that's when I just got really emotional. And then they found this really old papyrus. Oh, I highly, seriously, it's called Unknown, the Lost Pyramid. And it actually took me a couple of nights to watch it because I was so fascinated. I kept stopping and backing it up and things like that. But it's really fascinating what they're looking for, because the particular pyramid that they're looking for apparently predates King Tut. So it would be kind of the oldest thing that they have ever found. So that's one of the rabbit holes I went down this week after and this happens, right? It happens. I teach you all how to clear karma and talk about it, and then go down a karma rabbit hole. That's actually what happens. So, it's right in line with anything. But you can also notice, what are the kinds of things that you're interested in, like movies. Do you like, let's say, the war movies, or do you like, because maybe you were a soldier in some other time, maybe you like the Civil War, maybe you were in the Civil War. It's however you connect with these things. Believe it or not, it's not just, oh, I just kind of like that. My mom will tell you a story about when I was going on a trip to, I think it was West Virginia, when I was a little kid, and I had nightmares leading up to it, like these terrible nightmares and these images of like people. It was like I saw a house, and that I was there, and I was seeing it. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, how, like, if you're a little kid, everything's taller. So it was like I was seeing it as a little kid, and saw a book on the bed. And I remember in one of the dreams, I had to go to the store for someone, that I worked for, whatever. And I went to the store, I brought them back things. And as it turns out, when we got to West Virginia, I got very emotional in a couple of spots. And I was like, and I told, they must have thought I was insane when I was little. But I told the tour guide, or the whoever was taking us around, that I had lived in this particular place, and there were all these families living there. And I went into great detail and description. And the guide said, how do you know that? Have you been here before? So my mother is validating this. So this was my DC school trip, right? So she wasn't there, but this was in the lead in up to that trip. And when I started describing the place, and then all these different things, that I was envisioning, people getting beaten and things like that. And when I told the woman I lived over there and described it all, she said, how do you know that? Have you been here before? I said, no, I haven't been here before. I was there. I lived there. She said, well, that's a sealed up building from the Civil War. And they used to keep slaves locked up at night in this particular building. And so she went in and actually validated everything that I was saying. And this was, I don't even know how old I was. It was a super long time ago. So if you're drawn to something, those might be, a past life. So Tammy, pyramids were brought here, they're power sources and not what they portray them to be. Every seer is going to see them differently. I'm not saying what they are or they aren't. Some, I believe, came from other places, but some were built here with the help of people from other places. So there's still a connection. But there's always more to things than what we hear. Yeah. A lot of truths about ancient Egypt that have been obscured. Yes, they were at a very advanced society. There's a lot of truths about a lot of different places, landing pads, things like that. What is it sitting on top of? I will tell you this: if you ever go to Italy, there's like cities. They just built cities on top of cities on top of cities. Yeah. So yeah, everybody's in agreement. There's a lot of things that have been obscured. There's a lot of power places and power things that um, I don't even know, sort of the why of it, but I do love seeing a good documentary and being able to go down that rabbit hole. So isn't it interesting we bring up this week after last week's karma thing, all of these past lives and these things. Plus, I'm telling you some of my psychic stories that I actually haven't mentioned before. I wasn't planning on doing that, but it seems to be coming up and out. So yeah, thank you for that. So that was my rabbit hole of who knows, maybe that was my lead into the Venus retrograde reflection, and I had some relationships at that time period, or with that time period, whatever that might be. So yeah, it's all it's all good fun. But I think also that there's things in ancient Egypt that will come to light as the power structures in the world start to come apart. The it, it takes a lot of energy to keep secrets, like a lot, and once it starts to crumble, they just start they just start coming out. So yeah, so that's that. Sorry, I have a cat hair. I always have some kind of cat hair somewhere. I don't know if the girls are behind me or not, but there's cat hair everywhere here. Huh. So welcome. Wow, time is just flying by this week. Oh yeah, my mom's reminding me about a house I couldn't enter. Yeah, there was definitely a house that I couldn't enter. There was definitely somebody killed a witch. Somebody killed somebody in the, like, I would not go in that house to save my life. There was black magic there. And this is when I was younger. My God, if I had had this clairvoyant training um, at that time, holy cow. I'll save my Mother Mary tomb story for another day, because there's several times that I haven't been able to enter a space for whatever reason. I've got all kinds of good ones. Some from New Orleans. That was always good. Let's see. You can always ask. Can I ask, maybe off subject? Earth going into hibernation? I don't know. Um, I don't see that. I don't see the earth going into hibernation. I know that the earth is in a big growth period and there's a lot going on. I will, but look, I'll make a note. See, again, I'm on a napkin because seriously, I don't want to have to bend over and grab my notepad. Earth in, where did you hear that, Tammy? I'm just writing it down. I mean, seriously, I'm willing to look at any kind of energy you want to you want to ask a question about. And then you'll see it on a show, coming up. So if you are just joining us, think 2025, the same seer. Yeah, I don't know. I'll look into that. Yeah, not sure. Um, Everybody sees from a different perspective and from wherever they came from, whatever lifetimes they've had and things like that. So people can also, words are funny because when you look at things, there's really no words for this clairvoyant stuff. There's really no words for kind of what we see sometimes. Sometimes I see total off planet things and I can't even explain them or describe them. So, um, oh, yes. Oh, it is. Yes. Yes. Yeah. New Orleans has an amazing energy because there's been so many. I say amazing, that doesn't mean good. It's a very interesting energy. There's a lot of history. They were taken over. There's just all kinds of history um, in New Orleans. I'm not hiding her, but I also don't try and give it up her. She's very good. I'm sure. Yeah. I'm not saying anything about anybody. I just don't know about it. So I can't tell you what's I can't tell you about Earth in hibernation. Yeah. So I'm sure she's very good and accurate for you. It's excellent. So, yeah, there's been a lot going on. Let's suffice it to say. Have you been feeling magnetic at all these past couple days? I don't know. Oh, because why? Because if you've been feeling magnetic, and I posted this on Facebook on July 19th for the second day in a row, the sun had these big, giant, I guess they call them M flares. And they were back to back in quick succession, and they exploded like in the span of less than an hour. And the energy from the first flare arrived here on July 20th. And we had these minor to moderate geomagnetic storms. So, hello, can you say weather? That's a little interesting. I don't know what's causing these sun flares, but they're tracking quite a lot of sun flares. So I'm wondering if, because it's interesting, Tammy, you asked it right as I was about to start talking about about the Earth in hibernation. So now I'm really going to look into it because I really want to look at the energy of that. But yeah, we're getting hit with a little bit of electrical energy overall. So, yeah, if you're just joining us, welcome. I'm Debbie Tatel from Spirit Light Insight, and I am so happy that you're here. Thank you all for supporting me, kind of in this space. Yeah, say hello if you're new here. We love to hear from new people, and not I can't say old people, but birthday 30th. Just got. Did anybody blip? I start talking about geomagnetic, and I suddenly get like this banner that says, "Oops, one of your streams is glitching. One of your streams needs to be reconnected." Did anybody get a knocked off and back on? Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me know. Anyway, so welcome, welcome, welcome to everybody here, and it's popping on and off. So that's what's kind of been going on. You have glitched. Oh, it glitched on YouTube. Bummer. But you're all back, so that's good. That's good. Yeah. I don't know, coincidence that I talk about geomagnetic and I start to say, gee, I don't know what's causing that and all that. And then suddenly it glitches and knocks it off. But sunspots, solar flares, all of that geomagnetic stuff is going to futz with our technology because it's all in the airway. All that electromagnetic energy does affect it. So, but welcome back for those of you who got glitched. There was a lively little conversation about past lives and things. So I'm going to have to do a past lives, just a whole show on past lives. I think we'll just do that. and how those affect. We'll do readings. We'll do all of that. YouTube people, let me know that if you're back or not before I come on. I might have to bop over there and see what the heck is going on. But just let me know. Might as well look at the sun being replaced. Replaced? Okay. Interesting. It's already happened. Okay. It glitched again, but now I'm back. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for sticking with me and letting me know. So, got a glitch. Now YouTube normal. Something like you had vertigo symptoms on the 20th. Yeah, you're so sensitive to energy, Maria. You're going to love this, what we're doing towards the end when I start talking. Oh, I have something just so juicy for all of you that really came up this week. So in readings, I've just been noticing a lot of fear and resistance and people trying to control the energy of fear and resistance that is outside of them. And this can range from don't make me afraid to just going into resistance to everyone and everything around you. So it can also find you isolating because you don't want to go out into the fray. So if the news has been, overwhelming or it's made you afraid or there's fear or a lot of anger, a lot of that kind of stuff. Just notice those things, notice what you're noticing. It's actually on a much larger scale, that resistance. And when we get to our meditation at the end, I'm going to actually talk about, or we're going to actually clear some of that resistance. Some of it is yours, some of it is not. Some of it is just a bigger scale of this divide that is here, and everybody's resisting everybody else. And I'm not looking at it as a good hat, good, bad, or indifferent, right? It's everybody's resisting a whole lot of everything. The news, what comes out, what doesn't come out, all of those things. So we're gonna do a little bit of clearing on that because it's come up in almost every single reading where I'm watching people just in fear and resistance and trying to control. And then what that sometimes does is it creates pain in the body. So look at all that's going on. We've got people transitioning. We've got solar flares. We've got, geomagnetic things. We've got pyramids rising, which, by the way, yes to all of that, right? Pyramids rising. They're coming into our forefront, into our awareness. We are, by the way, even though last week was the karma, this is some of the karma that we're clearing is from ancient Egypt and all of that stuff. So today, if you noticed and you started to tune in at any particular place, I was talking about empaths and social isolation and protecting your space by drawing a line in the sand. I said it right in the beginning about that. And today's subject was basically prompted by not just the readings that I've done in the past couple weeks, but a get together that I made happen between my mom and one of her best friends. So, and you'll see how the being an empath and social isolation can sometimes there's a little bit of a tie in there. So, what I noticed with my mom kind of overall, she's on the more, what should we say, seasoned wisdom end of her life than earlier on. And as we age, sometimes we isolate a little bit for a variety of reasons. We don't feel good. We're tired. My mom goes to the grocery store and she does things and she still cooks and all of that. Um, and but yet it's still kind of, she's separated from her friends, right? Friends, this is one of the reasons for social isolation. Friends might be in assisted living, or even some of my friends are, having physical issues and then they're in the hospital. And, so with my mom, as a family, we circle around her, but we have to remember it. So this is part platform for a PSA, for a public service announcement, to remind you that our parents, especially if you have aging parents, these are people with friends. They're not just your parents. They have friends, they have confidants, they have people that they talk to. And I know that my mom talks on the phone with her friends, but she hasn't seen them. And during this kind of time in COVID, and nobody's getting any younger, right? During the time of COVID, kind of never saw them suddenly. And then, now even though we're kind of coming out of that phase per se, um, some of them are not doing so well. And she really can't go see them. So what I had started to see is that, wouldn't it be great if she could get together with one of her friends? So I reached out to the daughter of one of my mom's best friends from college. Can you even imagine? Like, I don't even, yeah, it's amazing. Best friends from college. They were in this like group, like a couples club from college on. And um, when I talked to, actually, so she's a friend, right? Because I grew up with her as well. But for now, I'm just going to call her the daughter of one of my mom's best friends. And we actually conspired and scheduled a get together. And for the record, they are, and I'm not going to say which is which because I don't want to call out who's older, who's younger, but they are 84 and 85 years old. Okay. It was absolutely amazing just to get together, to physically see them enjoying themselves at dinner. And they didn't say very much. They had talked on the phone and all of that. But it really struck me, I grew up with this best friend as like, this was, as I said on Facebook, family's family. And it was amazing just to see them physically together. We don't know when, they'll get together again. Yes, they'll see each other on the other side. There's a huge party there. My dad's there. All the rest of the crew are there. They'll have a couples club on the other side. I'm sure, I have no doubt, but I'm not, pushing for that anytime soon. Thank you, Tammy. Yeah, and it really was quite something to do that, because I think that as we age, and if you think about it, maybe even in your world, there's people who you recognize are socially isolated. There's no contact. You can talk on the phone, but it's different than contact. We all had this huge dose of that when we were, during COVID. And think about how, we couldn't wait to get out and, see each other and things like that. Zoom calls didn't cut it. Um, can you find my friends? Oh my God, you're so funny. You're so funny. Can you find my friends? Yeah, it's kind of like that. But if you have aging parents, so this is the PSA part, you'll see how it ties in with being a sensitive to energy and an empath. But if you have aging parents who can't get out for whatever reason, one's in assisted living, the other one's at home, they don't want to go out there, it's hard to get around, one's in a wheelchair, make it happen. Let them get together with their friends. You're going to see some magic, even if the words aren't quite there, even if they're not talking the way you remember them. But give that gift to your aging parents or people that you know that can't get out. Let them get together with their friends. Remind them that they're not just your mom or your dad or your auntie or whoever. Just remind them that they're people and they have friends and they had a life and they have a life outside of the nuclear family. I think that's just kind of super, super important. So, yeah. So give yourselves a breath right now. And let me just check in with, because Maria had something about the concert at the pyramids. Ah, yes. Thank you for sharing that. I wish it's okay. It's a little behind, but thank you for sharing, because absolutely right. I do remember that. Um, so if you're an empath, and this is a little bit of this is the tie-in. Let's see here. Can I find your friends? Wait a second. So, yeah. So, Maria, you got to speak to one of your neighbors who had a dog, best friends with your dog. His health isn't doing well. Yeah. See, it's important. You just never know. I said you were well seasoned. Actually, I called you on the wisdom side. So that's that. Uh, but yes, this is super super important. So on the so that was the social isolation. How this kind of came about, even to look at that with my mom, is that I started noticing in readings like how much outside energy affects those who are sensitive and super aware of energy. Oh, that's nice. Angela took a brief little respite to go visit with her son in Wellington. Well, good. Did you tell him I'm like talking about that you know he should come visit? I don't know how far he is, but he should go visit you. Um, but I started noticing how outside energy, and it affects me too. I'm very sensitive uh, and aware. So sometimes we take on external energies, especially the energy of pain, right? Other people's pain. And it's not even bad enough that we take on other people's energy of pain, is that when we take on anyone else's energy, another person, another, you know, any of that, anytime we take on energy that's not our own, it can cause pain. We can become overwhelmed. And if we resist it and try to push it or the other person's energy away, guess what? We isolate ourselves so we don't go out because of the painful energy. That's part of the tie in, right? So sometimes social isolation is imposed. Sometimes we isolate ourselves and imposed because of our situation, our physical body situation. And sometimes we isolate ourselves because of the painful energy or the energy that we experience, that we go into pain, right? The other thing that happens is if we notice that somebody's in pain, and you're going to see this full circle thing. When we recognize someone else is in pain, we as healers or sensitives recognize and see someone else's pain, and then we go to heal or become responsible for their pain, or we might even what's called match it. We might go into pain. So we might go into sympathy instead of empathy, right? And empaths and sensitives and people who are super aware and feel energy, like actually feel energy, are working double time. So for those of you who are super sensitive, I'm curious to know, and I think Richard, you're talking about, yes, negative energies in public, right? Let me just pop that up there. Yeah, can feel people throwing negative energies. They might not be throwing energy at you. I don't know, but it's interesting because, yes, I hear that a lot, a lot, a lot. And also, Angela and Tammy, I'll address the little pup in an aside later. But yes, there's a lot of quote unquote negative energy around. And actually, I'm going to do a whole meditation and teach you how to protect your space without drawing a line in the sand or putting up a mirror or anything like that. I'm going to give you another tool, another trick for your toolbox, your spiritual toolbox, to help you do that. And I'm going to address that completely in the meditation. But this is how the dots got connected with social isolation. What I see is how many people self-isolate for exactly what Angela and Richard and Tammy, because I know you have this tool to put up a mirror, that you've experienced that as well, right? That you self-isolate because you don't want to feel the energy. One of the things I noticed in one of my readings is that this beautiful human who I was reading is such a healer and so sensitive and such an empath that she becomes a sponge. And she would tell me how much pain she's in and at the same time feeling numb. So if you've ever experienced being in a great deal of pain, but feeling numb at the same time, you're really soaking up that energy. Yeah. And this happens when we take on and become responsible for so much energy that we no longer feel our own. Yeah. So these aren't the only reasons why we isolate or make separations or divides with people or go into resistance to going out feeling the negative energy. Yes, you're happiest when you're alone. Because exactly. By the way, I'm not saying go blow out go to a rock concert, and just whoop-de-doo, right? Believe me, oh my gosh, I hate to say this, I hate to admit this. When the COVID shutdown happened, I was like, oh, I could take a break. I just felt like it was nice. But then, after a while, I wanted to get out. Yeah. Angela is the same. Look at Tammy's the same. Yeah, enjoy nice people and new people. Yeah. And that happens too. And that's the great part. That's the beautiful part about it. So there's so many people. Where are my empaths? Where are my sensitives? Wherever you are, make yourselves known, because this is not a curse. It's actually a gift that you can use. It's just that you have to remember that you're very sensitive. That's what it is. So an empath, and I'm loving this. We've got these connections here. We've got Tammy thanking, Angela and all of that. And you know what? Tammy might go to New Zealand and then meet Angela. I might go to New Zealand and meet Angela. I want to go somewhere around that area. There you go. See, this is so nice. This is what we're doing. We're creating this space for all of you to communicate. And Maria, I agree, time alone is nice and it makes sense. And it is, it's great. And every single one of you that is here right now, listening to this, participating, even if you're not saying anything, um, each of you is an empath, and empaths are highly sensitive to emotions and energies around them. You're not just seers, and you are seers, but you work at a different level. You're feelers. You feel the energy. In fact, your feelers are probably out there checking out the energy more intensely than most, because oftentimes you so intensely feel what others are feeling so deeply that you become a sponge, and you take on all of that, and then you tend to think it's yours, right? Which it's actually not. But sometimes it takes a little bit to let that go, to shed that. So, yeah, I did find an interesting statistic about empaths, because I know so many, like everybody I know is super sensitive to energy. I don't know about you, but you know, everybody I know is sensitive to energy at some level. So it's interesting to note that statistics say that only 1 to 2% of the population experiences this type of sensitivity. I don't think that's right. I for sure don't think that's right at all. Mm. Drink of choice, water. Just so you know, did you grab your drink? It's, TGIF. Kick back, join us for a little spiritual convo, clear your space. Oh, that's amazing, Richard. Thank you for sharing that. For those of you who are just listening, if you're not kind of watching when I, put up these little banners, Richard said that when he was a child, he would sometimes see a dark smog floating above a room full of people and felt it was his job to clear it out. That's what happens when we see things or we feel things that we think it's our job to clear it out. What is good to realize is, yeah, well, it's probably not your job to clear it out, but it might make you feel more comfortable. That's the part that I was talking about earlier. Controlling the energy is sometimes we do that because we want us to feel better. And so it's interesting. So, Richard, you've been working at this level for a very, very, very long time. I bet your kids that you work with, you are very open to what they have to say at that level as well. Yep. Yeah. Most of us do take it on because, first of all, the minute it makes us uncomfortable is when it comes in. Hi, Tim. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm getting a nice wave and a heart. Love you. Hugs, kisses. Good to see you. Um, Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. There's a reason that so many healers or clairvoyants or empaths, sensitives, and everything are very drawn to meditation and healing arts and things like that. It's because we've experienced an incredible amount of pain at whatever level that we've experienced it. And that doesn't make our bringing up wrong or bad. It's just that that's how we experience the world, is through other people's pain. Yeah. And that it's somehow our responsibility to heal it. Hi, Lisa. Welcome. Good to see you again. Oh my gosh. Thanks for coming back. Richard, kids have amazing energy. It feels so well. They're pretty much uncorked anyway. Like they're Their freebies, their energy is, and they have a lot of it. Amazing. If they could blow it into a bottle and infuse it into us, we'd all be young for forever. But so that is, uh, we're talking about empaths and sensitives and people who feel energy. Yeah. And then when we're talking about, let's say, the definition of that social isolation, it's defined as the absence of social interactions and contact with family and friends and social areas, right? And so while we can also feel lonely while being with other people because we feel different, right? As empaths or seers or wherever we are, right? That's different, because some people feel lonely with people and then others can live alone and not feel lonely, which is what Richard and Angela said. And I don't know, I think somebody else said that. But after all is said and done, if you're an empath and super sensitive to energy, what do you resist? Do you resist going out? Do you resist, go? I mean, I remember I had a group of clairvoyant students that I was teaching, and one called me up and said, "Oh, I can't go to the movies because the energy." And I thought, wow, that's amazing. That's not what all this is about. This is about learning and having the tools so that we can go out and live our lives and have these just rich, rich experiences. So if you're just joining us, welcome. If you don't know who I am, if you're bopping on YouTube, or I know some of you are coming from Facebook, I'm Debbie Tatel from Spirit Light Insight, and welcome. We are talking about empaths and social isolation, and there's going to be a meditation very shortly to teach you how to protect your space without drawing a line in the sand or without any kind of resistance. So we're really coming up on that. But so far, and I should probably say this. So we're about to do a meditation, and I'll put up the guided meditations one. But if you're enjoying, watching this content and all of that, I'm putting my heart and soul into it. You are welcome to leave a virtual tip. You don't even have to use this QR code per se, but you can if you aim your phone at it. But this will show up as a link on all the Facebook timelines and even the YouTube chat. It should show up as a link, so you can actually just link it in, or it's in the comments. So that's all greatly appreciated. I'm asking less, but I just decided to throw it in. Also, if you're liking it, please do hit that subscribe button right there or right underneath wherever you're coming in on YouTube. And please subscribe. Love to have you. I'm loving doing this. This is amazing. We had a nice psychic fair last weekend. And so also I do readings. And wow, I think that just glitched, but we'll see. I think you probably got a glitch, but that's okay. But if you want to book a reading or have a look at the classes that are coming up, I've got a psychic healing class starting in September. You can find that on my website. So please visit my website, spiritlightinsight.com. Go to the booking site. You'll start to see these things come up. But so thank you, thank you, thank you. Richard's talking about the kids maybe being an old soul I find very little appealing in our society. Or it might be that you just see the energy. That's it. So we found out one way, which I do love, the mirror thing from Tammy was saying, put up mirrors and, kind of deflect the energy kind of back to where it came from. What other ways did you learn how to create boundaries in your world? Maybe you had a teacher that taught you how to do that. Maybe, I know, they used to, in the old sitcoms, they used to like in the Brady Bunch, it seems to me, like they would draw a chalk line around, 444 somewhere. Um, Draw a chalk line, don't cross over this line, or I need to, I hear a lot of people tell other people, you need to keep boundaries. I told them they need to stay away or keep boundaries or whatever to keep people out. I was thinking, have you ever hung a no trespassing sign, an energetic no trespassing sign on you? Who knows? What are the ways that you keep people out? Because some of those ways are just filled, filled with resistance. And here's what I'm going to say, depending on how you learned to create those boundaries or draw a line in the sand, put up a stop sign in your head. That's a good one. Um, oh, Angela was responding to a question I asked a little while ago, so I don't know if that was an answer, but wow, yeah, he's far away. He should come visit anyway. But put up a stop sign in your head. There are varying things that we learned to do. Taught myself to say no to people and not feeling guilty. Yeah, that's holding your space. Absolutely. I do a whole thing about say no to others so that you're saying yes to you. You can't feel guilty, right? It's not, there's things that I bet you give and that you give a lot. And that's the piece. But here's the thing, and the tie-in between empaths and this social isolation is, if you are drawing a line in the sand, putting up a stop sign, putting up a no trespassing sign, and yes, I purposely have my hand in front of the camera. If you are doing that, one of the things you have to remember is that you're not just putting boundaries up against one person or one group or one, let's say, negative energy. And by the way, I don't see energy as negative or positive. I see it as perhaps other people's energy and my energy. So that's kind of how I look at it. But anytime you create boundaries from resistance and out of resistance, you are creating boundaries against everything and everyone. You could be unconsciously isolating yourself from wonderful communications, like what Tammy said, going out and, meeting people and relationships you want. You can put them in the freezer. The energetic freezer. That's one way, but I would definitely be looking at the awareness about creating any karma in putting somebody anywhere. But that's, each person's going to have them. It's a pretty funny, because people freeze people out all the time, don't they, Tammy? I mean, the proverbial, I froze them out or whatever. I once got frozen out by a client in the middle of a real estate negotiation. I couldn't believe it, and just stopped communicating with me uh, via phone, or she would only do like a text with like 5 words. So the negotiation went through, the sale went through, but she totally froze me out. Your karma played out. Yeah, that's different. That's then you move out. You move their energy out, and that's where you just have to kind of forgive the whole thing. But would you all like a technique that not only doesn't keep people out, but it actually enhances and creates space for more clarity and communication and helps you clear resistance that comes at you, or those quote unquote those negative energies, or those things? Because I'm going to talk about some things right now. You might have learned them different. This is from my experience. This is what I've learned. This is what I've been doing now for since 1990. Oh my gosh, like a really, really long time ago. I don't even remember when I started. Um, oh, that's beautiful. Smoky quartz crystal on the shelf at the front door to keep negative energy away. Yeah, ooh, that's really nice. My crystals seem to be gone. I have a kitten who loves my crystals. So she takes them all and knocks them off the table. And even I have a big rose quartz, but that's a lovely way to do it. But I'm going to give you a psychic tool, an energy tool to help you protect your space without resistance, without drawing a line in the sand, that enhances all of your communications. Oh, these are great things. I have a friend who does crystal sales, and I've been toying with having him on. I'm going to definitely reach out since I know I have a crystal crew. I love crystals. I don't have a whole lot of them, but I love them. So I think now is the time. We've been chit chatting for a while. We've had beautiful conversation. So let's see who comes on when we do our reset meditation. And I don't know if Ward is still listening there back on Facebook, but Ward, hopefully you're still listening, or you'll come back to this maybe another time. Because this is going to be for all of you folks who want to connect with those upper chakras. Part of what meditation does in these resets is it clears out the body channels so that we have more energy that can go to our upper chakras and our upper abilities, right? But today we're going to do something, since our meditation is about coming out of isolation. It's coming out of a space of, let's say, fear or resistance, and opening up a space of communication in the world, and all at the same time protecting our space or defining our space. And you'll see where we're going with this. So, start by finding that comfortable position with your feet on the floor, and just kind of wiggle your toes and feel your feet on the floor. If you've got shoes on because you're at work or something, go ahead and close your door, and just gently give yourself a breath and close your eyes or turn your gaze downward if you don't feel comfortable with your eyes closed. And just begin to focus on your breath and feel the rise and fall of your chest. Notice your bottom end in the chair, and check in with yourself and see how you're doing today. Was there any information that excited you or appalled you, or you didn't get a chance to ask a question? Whatever is going on in your mind right now, just go ahead and just be right here and now in the present. And one way to get into the present is to really just begin to say hello to your body. Notice your pulse and your heartbeat and your breath. And then go ahead and center in your awareness. You can move your energy and attention behind your eyes in the center of your head. And imagine a beautiful room in the center of your head that is just for you, a place where you're in charge, a place that's just yours. And you can make it a room or it can be someplace in a meadow in the middle of the mountains, whatever your creative mind comes up with. And give yourself a breath. And notice any thoughts running through your mind and just let them be there. Notice if there's anyone in that space with you, and if you see any people or work or responsibilities, just for now, just go ahead and invite whatever that is out, or you can give yourself a breath, and as you release, just imagine releasing it. And just notice as things begin to quiet down, then go ahead and flip on the light wherever you are, or if you're in a field, you can go ahead and just imagine the sun cleansing that space. And in the center of your head, I'd like you to go ahead and declare yourself. Just say, I am, and repeat your name a couple of times. And just really own that space for you. What I'm seeing is all of you that are doing this right now have a lot of people in your head. So go ahead and imagine that there's a trap door with a water slide kind of next to you. And you can kind of just open that door and give them a nice, hey, this is a lot of fun. Go down there. And just let them slide right on down and out of your head. Just let any kind of energy or people or thoughts or responsibilities go right down that water slide, where it'll go into the earth or go back to where it came from. And then go ahead and close that trap door and just really begin to own that space for yourself in your mind's eye with your clarity. From that space, go ahead and say hello to the base of your spine, your first chakra. That's your energy center of safety and security. It also gives you a place where you can release energy. And just say hello to that first chakra, and you don't even have to know anything about it. Just say hello to that space at the tip of your tailbone, at the base of your spine. And just even bringing your attention there is going to help you start to clear that space. Now imagine that you are saying hello to the center of the earth, Mother Earth, and all her support that she gives you. There's a consciousness and spaciousness in the center of the earth. And just notice your body and how it adjusts as you say hello to that. And then be right back in the center of your head and imagine a beautiful, big, giant oak tree rooted into the earth, and it's right in front of you, and you can just see the big trunk that'll support you. Notice that it has roots that just kind of go right into the ground, connected. And then imagine that you are sitting on top of that tree and connected with the earth. And just have that connection as we ground and give ourselves space to be. This is grounding. And imagine that You're giving yourself a breath, and as you release, you're letting go of anything that no longer serves you. And just notice the flow of energy moving down the trunk of that tree. If you know how to run energy, I see I have some folks here that know how to do that. Go ahead and start that process. But just go ahead and release any energy, and it'll just like a waterfall flowing down the middle of that tree, go all the way down and get neutralized in the earth where it's recycled. Go ahead and let go of any communications or anything that takes you out of the present moment, any distractions. Just be right here and now in the present moment with yourself, with all of us. And imagine that we're in a virtual space together where there's space to be who we are. There's space for some elbow room, for some breath, and for some healing. And healing, the way I use it, is about returning to wholeness. So give yourselves a breath. And just notice the consciousness of the earth and that gentle flow moving down your grounding. And then I'd like you to imagine a gentle flow of energy coming from the earth through the arches of your feet, just enough, whatever you need. And that's going to begin flowing through your feet and through your legs and moving through you. And then imagine a gentle flow of cosmic energy or source energy coming in through the top of your head, flowing through you and mixing with the earth so that both are flowing through you, cleansing, cleaning out your space. And then be right back in the center of your head, in charge. And you can be aware of your physical body in the center while you're in the center of your head, but just be there. And then I'd like you to notice, if you know how to read it, that's fine. If not, go ahead and just think about anything that you've resisted in the past week or more. Anything that comes to mind that you've been resisting. Might be family, friends, events, news. Might be people that no longer serve you, people that you had challenges with this week. But give yourself a breath and just begin to let go of any resistance, the energy of resistance or pushback or fear. And you don't have to push it out. You can just give yourself a breath. And as you exhale, it's going to just fall away. It's going to go down that grounding. And then go ahead and breathe and release. And breathe and release. While we're going to talk about how to protect your space and giving you some of those techniques and tools, we have to release resistance before we can define or protect anything. Yeah? Because resistance is futile, as they say on Star Trek. But notice any resistance just falling away and put a smile on your face right now, no matter what's going through your mind, no matter what you're seeing, what you're feeling. Go ahead and just put a smile on your face. It's actually true that putting a smile on your face actually will change your entire physiology. So go ahead and do that even while you're grounded and connected with the earth. And then give yourself a breath And I'd like you to stay in this space, in this just kind of breathe and release while I talk, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that I talk about that you might have learned differently. So all I ask is that you keep an open mind with what you learned and how you learned it. And anything that you resonate with, please keep that. Make that a part of your practice. And anything else, if it doesn't resonate, if it doesn't go with your beliefs, just go ahead and just let that go. This is my perspective. These are tools that I've used. So give yourself a beautiful breath as I talk, and just notice the energies flowing through you and relax into them as you reset. So, first, when we talk about protecting your space, if you want to protect your space by drawing a line in the sand or creating boundaries and keep out signs and no trespassings and stop signs, actually, that doesn't work. What those things do, especially if you get angry, because people jump in our space all the time, and we get angry without realizing that it's because someone jumped in our space. But if there's any anger, any of those things create resistance, right? And if they come with anger, whatever it is already in your space. So give yourselves a breath and just breathe and release. Resistance actually almost acts like a magnet and keeps it in your space. It's one of the reasons why we want to isolate and stay home, is that gives us a space to clear our space. Okay? So drawing a line in the sand doesn't work. It just creates resistance. Second thing I want to say, and you've all heard about this, are energy vampires, or people that throw negative energy around. And there's plenty of people that throw all kinds of energy around. But there's no such thing as an energy vampire. No one can suck your energy or take your energy unless at some level you agree to it. And usually we do that because it's so uncomfortable that we just want to make it go away. So we just kind of run it through us. Yeah. And there are people that throw energy at you. And yes, there's toxic energy out there. And yes, there's people who get into our space. But the deal is, when we're aware of what's going on, we can get them out. We can get our space back. We lose our space all the time. All the time. It's not always about keeping people out or isolating. It's having the certainty to own our space, own what is ours. So even when I say protecting space, it's a misnomer, because we actually don't have to protect it. We need to be present and accounted for in it. Because if we're in our space, present and accounted for, nothing else can get in there. Think about a vessel that's filled with sand. A rock can't get in there. Maybe water can get in there. Give yourselves a breath. Notice that connection between you and the center of the earth. Breathe and release, and let go of any resistance, anything you picked up. So there's a variety of reasons. There's any number of reasons. I'm not even going to get to all of them. We're just doing a short reset meditation, but I wanted to at least address some of them, because there's just so many reasons why people get in our space. We have a matching picture or some pain. But from where I sit, there's a couple of sort of main things that happen. We resist other energies. That's one of the reasons why people get in our space. We're judging some of the energies, but when that happens, it's like we draw them in like moths to a flame. So give yourselves a breath and notice if you ever did that. And if not, that's great too. But just notice or connect, notice your thoughts, what are coming up, and then just go ahead and breathe and release whatever's coming up for you. And the other reason why mostly people get in our space is because we aren't in it. And if there's a void, if there's a place, any number of things will come in to fill that space. So protecting our space or defining our space, I like to call it defining space, is not about isolating or drawing a line in the sand, right? But generally, we're not so perfect at owning our space 100% of the time because we are human and we go through challenges and we have things that we are here to learn. So, this energy technique that I'm going to teach you right this second is going to help you so that you are not so affected by the energies, whether you call them negative or toxic or the however you refer to it. Yeah. So give yourselves a breath and be in the center of your head. Just say hello to that space and give yourself some space to be. Notice the earth energy flowing through you and the cosmic energy flowing through you and mixing and doing a dance, cleaning out your space. And now, out in front of you, I'd like you to imagine an exact replica of who you are. Like imagine all that you are, and you can even imagine it as a rose out in front of you. You can start it with a beautiful rose and then just let it kind of morph or transform into an exact replica of you. It's like looking at your spiritual self in a mirror, all that you are, every bit of you, so you can have that rose start to transform. You might see some colors come on, or you might just know. You might not see it so clearly. You might not recognize that rose out in front of you. But just imagine that it's there. Decide what does it look like? What does this replica of you? You're a brilliant being of light, a brilliant being of creative color. So imagine what that looks like. You can just kind of see that out in front of you. And yes, when we see this sometimes for the first time, we begin to recognize that all the things that we don't even like about our body or whatever. And then there's this magnificent light in front of us that is us, that represents our spiritual essence, the exact replica of us. And then imagine that space, that rose, this exact replica. In my group, we call it a mini me rose, but you can call it a space definition rose. You can also call it a decoy rose, but I'd like you to go ahead and imagine placing that right at the edge of your aura, out in front of you. So maybe about 6 feet out in front of you. Your aura, your energetic bubble is from, let's say, fingertip to fingertip on either side, front to back, up and down, all around you. And so go ahead and just experience that. Put that rose, that mini me rose, it's the exact replica of you at the edge of your aura. And then notice your reaction to that. And then I'd like you to just put that rose into like a firework rocket and shoot it off and watch it explode in a beautiful flash of light, like a firework. And be right back in the center of your head and just go ahead and just for a moment, just breathe and release any energy that came up. Notice the thoughts running through your mind. And now I'd like you to create out in front of you or imagine or visualize another rose that looks just like you. It's an exact replica of you with all your whatever flaws that you don't have that you think you have, but just have that out in front of you. Notice the light, notice your light body, the aura layers. But just have that rose right out in front of you and then place it right at the edge of your aura. This decoy rose or space definition rose is you showing people where the edge of your space is. People have very little awareness of space. I would say maybe 1% or less than 1% actually have that awareness. So just notice what it's like to be inside your bubble, protected. What that rose does is it starts to absorb any energy that's coming at you. It acts like a decoy. So if somebody throws energy at you, that negative energy, it's going to go right into that rose and it's not going to come into your space for the most part. In fact, that rose works like Earth's atmosphere. It burns off whatever comes your way or absorbs it so it doesn't affect you. In the Earth's case, the Earth's atmosphere just burns off. Or believe me, we would be a shattered Earth with the amount of meteors. Think of the big meteors that hit the Earth. So sometimes energy is like that. Sometimes there's a burst of energy or a meteor type energy when we go out. That's what people were talking about earlier, negative energy getting thrown. But it's all absorbed into that decoy rose. It acts as a decoy. Give yourselves a breath and be right in the center of your awareness and notice that rose and have the certainty that that's going to work for you. And also, I will challenge those of you, or I don't like giving challenges, but I encourage you to practice using this rose, right? You can just see it out in front of you at any time. Your eyes can be open, your eyes can be closed. You can be walking down the street. You can remember, I'm going to put this rose at the edge of my space. You can replace it as needed. All you have to do is explode it and create another one. But I encourage you to practice this and play with it when you're out and see how things are different. And then please do meet me here next week at, that 4:30 time or towards the end to talk about your experience with it. This is one of the most powerful tools that I teach. And one of the things I love about it when I teach the clairvoyant students this is when they first see themselves, right? It's not just about this mini me rose, but you get to see yourself as the spirit that you are. So recognize that. The best part about this space definition rose or this, this mini me rose is it's not meant to isolate or keep people away from you. It's not a trespassing sign. It works just the opposite. Using this tool helps communication because instead of showing people a stop sign filled with resistance, You're showing them, here's my space. Oh, and hello, there's your space. So you're actually giving them a hello to where they are as well. So give yourselves a breath and check in with that body. Just say hello and notice if anything changed. Notice your connection between the base of your spine and the center of the earth. Let go of any energy or unconsciousness that you're ready to let go of. Just let that slip right down your grounding and notice if that mini me rose out in front of you is already collecting up energy. Maybe because we're on social media, maybe you're at home and things are going on. Just notice that. And then give yourself a breath and imagine a beautiful golden sun above your head filled with light and life and joy. Call back your energy into that gold sun, to give it back to yourself, to replenish your space. Just see that golden sun above your head just glowing and growing. And then begin to just bring that gold sun down, that energy through the top of your head. You can even bring the whole sun in. And just let it flow through you from top to bottom and bottom to top, from side to side and front to back. Fill up so much with that golden light, that gold sun energy, and replenish your space and just let it expand out to the edges of your aura, about 6 feet around you, till you're sitting in a bubble of golden light. And then imagine another gold sun and fill it with some qualities of some energies that you would like to have for this next week. Would you like more smiles, more laughter, more joy? Would you like some clarity? Would you like answers to a question? Whatever you want, put it in that gold sun and bring that right in through the top of your head and just let it absorb right into your body and open a space to just have that. Now give yourself another deep breath. Release anything that still wants to release down that grounding. And begin to put a smile on your face and wiggle your fingers and toes and just kind of move around in your chair. Just come back to your body, have that body awareness, swivel if you need to. And then go ahead and you can take a big stretch and yawn, bend over, dump out, shake out the neck and shoulders. Sometimes energy pools there. And gently open your eyes and look around your space. Look around your room where you're at. And just come back to you. And just see how you've changed and if you can, what was your experience with that? What did you notice? I love it. This is great. Tammy says, "Yay, it's raining." So you brought the rain. Oh, you're in a hot place. Yes, you're in a hot place. So rain is good. We've had quite a bit of rain here. What was your experience with that protection rose or that decoy rose, mini me rose, space definition rose? I love the calling it a space definition rose because it really gives us pause to remind ourselves where our space ends and then we can fill that space all inside it. But I'd love to hear your experience for those of you who went through that whole meditation and how you're feeling, because that's quite something. You all did great. There was actually a ton of uh, unconscious energy being released from every corner, and I know that I'm streaming on multi, various platforms, but it was amazing to see that. Been working on my space for a while. Been working good. Yeah. Congratulations. That's great. Actually, you made a big shift. It's not that I read everybody, but I kind of know some of you here, as you're going through this. And I'm loving that you're sticking with it and really working on it, because all of this gives us more space to be, more space to come together even, and have these communications. Um, Yeah, try that. Lots to think about. I love it. There is a lot to think about, because I'm giving you like little bits and pieces. You can go back, you can listen again, you can send messages. Thank you for the email, by the way. I loved getting that, Richard. Thank you so much. That's great. There is a lot to think about, because in this realm, there's a lot to think about, right? But I would encourage you to maybe look at it, start looking at these things as energy, and as they are. And that's really something. And let's see, what did Maria said, and I've got something blocking that. Minnie Rose D, Minnie, whoop, Minnie Rose decoy was funny because I thought of the Wizard of Oz, where he's the one on the screen, except that we're like the wizard on the screen and have a little Yes, yes. I have. By the way, I've had that exact thought. So that's so great because I've had that exact same thought. So that's great. That's absolutely wonderful. And Tammy says, my space includes a beach, a waterfall, and a horse. I love it. Oh, horses are so healing. Horses are so healing. They're so wonderful. I know many, many horse people. Um, yeah. So there's lots when we begin to own our space, and it begins in our mind's eye, owning our space. It really, really does. And having the certainty, not that we're never going to like lose our space, or that nobody's going to throw energy at us, but that when it goes splat, that we have a place to release it. So that would be your grounding cord. I mean, these are incredible, incredible tools. And I've been doing this for a very long time, since good Kevin's the 80s, I think, like 87, 80, something like that. A very, very long time. These are my techniques, and I had to learn these to help myself heal and shed all the stuff from that I picked up throughout my life. And so this is why I'm trying to share some of these more basic techniques. Obviously, I have some classes, but good heavens, thank you all for sticking with it. And I hope that you're enjoying these techniques and these reset meditations. You can always, as I said before, visit my website, spiritlightinsight.com. You'll see all the things kind of happening and going on. I have a newsletter, so if you're interested in that, you can reach out or sign up when you see it on social media. If you want. There are also some free meditations on, and again, you don't have to do the QR code right now. It's going to show up in the thread. It's going to show up in the comments as a live link here. But I have a page of free guided meditations. So if you like these, head on over there, check out what's over there. I'll be uploading some new meditations here on YouTube in the future. If you're interested in supporting this stream, feel free. Thank you for all of your generous generosity in other weeks as well. I really appreciate it, like more than you know. So thank you so much for that. Do, if you're liking, do subscribe. Well, I almost have like things pointed out, right? This is great. So there's a little subscribe button here. If you're on YouTube, do subscribe, get a reading. I appreciate so much you being here. I never intended these to be, let's say, 2-hour sessions, but there's so much information, and I'm so glad that you were all sticking around for them. And oh gosh, I'll get to some. You're so welcome, Tammy. Thank you so much for being here, and Richard and Angela and all the folks, Lisa and Tim popped on. I mean, I had a bunch of people pop on, and I appreciate every single one of you. So thank you so much. But again, if you're interested in a reading, meditation classes, workshops, clairvoyant development, I've got stuff coming up. Check my website. But for now, I'm going to just kind of wrap up. And for everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful new week. Practice with your protection rows. Message me with any questions you might have. And of course, as always, keep your spirit light in sight and shine your light for all to see. Bye-bye for now.